Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Discussing Dynamo, your home for Houston Dynamo FC news, updates, and match day discussions. My name is Newward, and I will be your host this evening. If you like what you see today, please be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about the video and the topic of today's video. So, moving on to today's video, the topic is we managed to get a tie 1-1 away at Columbus in the second leg of the round of 16 in the Concacaf Champions Cup. Now, unfortunately, this does mean that our Concacaf run is over. Columbus beat us 2-1 in the goal aggregate for both games, the one here and the one over there in Columbus. So unfortunately, they move on, we don't. Now, 1-1 result, just looking at it face value, isn't that bad. Especially think even if you consider it in something like the league where this is the reigning MLS champion and we go to their home where they're known to play very well. They're kind of one of the teams where their home is a fortress. So to go there and get a draw in league play, that's a point. And to come out of Columbus with a point is a good result no matter who you are. But unfortunately, this isn't the league. We played them in CONCACAF. We didn't have the away goal benefit that we would have if we had been able to keep the 0-0 draw here back at home. So that does mean the end of our run. Granted, in my opinion, it was a pretty decent run. You know, we lost our striker in the first 20 minutes of the season. We were without Herrera, we were without Quinones, we were without Caicedo. We were without Bossy until I want to say he came back as a sub in the Red Bulls game. So we were without Bossy until this round of the cup. So with the pieces we had, I feel like we managed to put out a very decent performance throughout the whole tournament. It was always going to be a gauntlet. I mean, even if we were a full team, it was always going to be a gauntlet because we would have had beaten St. Louis, which we did. We would have beaten Columbus, which we didn't get completely destroyed here. It would a couple balls go a different way, balls land a different way. Really just small things that separate us from being the team to move on versus them. And then, so if we had beaten Columbus, then we would have had to play Tigres. If we beat Tigres, then we'd move on to play probably Miami. If not Miami, then Monterrey. And if we move on from there, then we would have been looking at like, okay, now we're looking at a chance to win the cup. But I mean, it was always going to be a gauntlet no matter what. So proud of the guys for getting the results they did. Um, Proud of most of the performances that they put out. Really, the only bad performance that stands out in my mind is the first leg of against Columbus, the one last week, I guess would be last week. Um, that was the only one where it just seemed like we just didn't have it at all, and we were just holding on for dear life throughout the whole thing. This game, though, the one that happened, I think at the time of recording, technically 2 days ago, because I think it's early Thursday morning right now. But the one that happened this past Tuesday, um, this game, I think we played a lot better. We were a lot more concise with our attacks, though we weren't able to produce too much. Which, granted, we don't have our finishing. We're lacking our finishing in the final third, which is something we've been lacking. So, nothing new there. But we were doing a lot better. Our passes were a lot smarter. Our style of play was a bit more fluid. We were finding each other a little bit more. We were assisting each other a little bit more. So I think you take the Dynamo that played in the second leg and you put them against the Dynamo that played in the first leg. The second leg Dynamo probably win 2-0. You take the Dynamo that played in the second leg and you put them against the Columbus from the first leg. We probably leave Houston with a 0-0 draw, if not up one. I mean, we played that much better in the second leg than the first leg. But that's hypothetical speculation. That is what that is. Um, so and Columbus did play good as well. We really it was just a excuse me, it was a mistimed header from Mikael, um, trying to stop a cross to, I cannot remember his name. He's a player on Columbus with the dreads. I think his name's Falsey. I might be completely wrong on that, but Mikael was trying to stop a cross to them. He mistimed his header, so the ball kind of just skims off his head. Falsey finds it, moves it to the box. crosses it over for Cucho. Cucho, deadly striker from outside the box, inside the box. I think they said during the broadcast he has scored like 25 goals in his past 32 games uh, consecutively. So I mean that's just insane numbers from him. So I mean it was, there was nothing Clark could do, and I mean even then Clark made a good effort. Cucho made a good decision to kind of pull Bartlow to the right, look like he was going to shoot towards the outside post, and then brings it immediately back in for the inside post. Like Clark was set up to try and defend the outside post, and all he could really do in the amount of time he had was stick his leg out to try and protect the inside post. And he still almost gets there. He just can't fault Clark too hard for that goal. Really don't even want to fault Mikael too much for the mistimed header, but you kind of have to. It is what it is. Um, and then we still showed a lot of promise in our attack. Columbus had to work to slow down the tempo of the game, um, and then we had to kind of slow it down ourselves in order to make sure we were making smart decisions. And it was ultimately a foul on Liu in the box, being shoved while going for a header in the box. So foul. Dorsey, I'm sorry, penalty kick. Dorsey takes the kick, scores a goal. 89 minutes. Team sets up to try and do what they can. They were only given 4 minutes of extra time, which Ben Olsen in the later interview said that was kind of a joke with all the time wasting and the rolling around that Columbus was doing, which is only natural to do if you have the lead in a game like this. Can't really fault Columbus too much for this, but um, Olsen said that he said he felt like the second half in um, this game was a lot very similar to the second half in Houston, and we had 8 minutes of extra time in Houston, which is what eventually allowed Columbus to score, was that long of an extra time. So he said it was kind of a joke to only get 4 minutes here, but it is what it is. Columbus wins, and the Concacaf is over. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at pregame kind of thoughts and everything. We're gonna jump over to Twitter real quick. Let me get that transition. There we go. Shout out to me for learning how to work OBS. Haha. So yeah, these are my pregame thoughts going into the second leg. I'd been watching Columbus play against Minnesota. I'm sorry, not Minnesota. Who did they just play? I'm blanking. It may have been Minnesota, but I don't think it was. It was not Minnesota. But oh, I'm sorry, Chicago. There we go. Yeah, so I'd watched Columbus play against Chicago, and I'd watched a couple more of the highlights from when they played us, and it would start. You kind of could see like they turn it up a notch in that second half. So that's kind of what I noted down here, was that it seems like they turned it up in that second half, kind of tightened the screw a little bit more. So if we were gonna have to cope with that in the second half, I thought it was very important that we tried to get as many points as possible, if all it was one. Um, but it was imperative that we scored early. Um, which was going to be difficult because we're struggling to finish right now as we don't have the right pieces. But that is what it is. Um, so yeah, we needed to win by at least one goal in order to make it through. So I was hoping to see the most experienced players we have and the most vetted players I guess we would have. So I was hoping for a 4-3-3 with Aliyu, Bossi, and Kolchik in front in that order. Um, I kind of here I mentioned that Aliyu didn't have the best game in the first leg of the competition, which in the review of the first leg I did mention that Aliyu had a stinker that game. He wasn't there in the second half. He was tired, but I trusted him to come back. I was betting to see his absolute best, and I mean he did. Aliyu showed out in this game. Um, he made the runs. Uh, he really actually even had good footwork. He was pulling players to him. He at one point he was drawing two defenders just for him every time he would get up to the box. So I mean, he did his job this game. Props to Aliyu. Um, Bossy, I know he's not a forward. He's usually like a center mid, but we needed his experience like in these kind of environments instead of Siegel, where again, no disrespect to Siegel. I think I've said this in a couple of videos, but he's young and he's undeveloped. So having uh, someone like Bossy who has been there, has been in high stakes competitions, especially with the Dynamo, and kind of knows what Ben Olsen wants and what to expect. and has experience finishing, it made sense to me to have Bossy there over Siegel. Um, Granted, I don't think Bossy really showed up that much. He definitely had a couple good shots, but he didn't show up the way I was hoping to. We still haven't seen that prime Bossy that we had last year. But Bossy has only been back like what? I think this is his second full game this year, so maybe third. I think he started last week in Columbus, but I'm not too sure right at the moment. But yeah. So I mean that is what it is. He didn't he didn't have the best performance that he's ever had, but he didn't have a bad game at all. In the midfield, I was hoping to see Coco kind of standing in the front of the midfield with Arthur and Grey Goose behind. Um, I was kind of hoping this would allow for something where Dorsey or Escobar could run on the wings for their respective sides, and Coco could connect with them and be able to kind of have a 1-2 tiki taka kind of play on the wings, and then maybe find Kovalchik, maybe find Leo, and the whole team could press together and something like that. Um, and then I thought having Arthur and Grey Goose kind of sit behind would be okay because both of them play very well defensively and offensively. They make very good pieces and they make very smart decisions whenever they need to and on both sides of the ball. So I thought having those three in the midfield would work best. And then defensively, I wanted the best lineup as possible because again, Columbus turns up the heat in that second half. So I was hoping that we would see Escobar, Dorsey, Mikhail, and Bartlow, and then I mentioned, the I was hoping for a very similar lineup to what we had in the last leg defensively, and I said maybe Sviatchenko for Bartlow because Olsen had mentioned Sviatchenko's fine health wise. He did sit on the bench this game, which the announcers made sure to mention like, oh well, Sviatchenko's fine. Why is he on the bench? But Bartlow's a good defense. He showed out in that first game, so I'm pretty sure Olsen was like, well, I mean, shit, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Let Bartlow play again. So this was the lineup. Let me give you a little close up. This is kind of a better view of what I kind of had in mind. Clark and goal, Escobar, Mikhail, Bartlow, Dorsey, Grey Goose, and then this was that kind of triangle thing I was talking about where I was mentioning that Dorsey could come up over here and kind of connect with Kovalchik, and Escobar could come over here and connect with Aliyu, with Coco being able to feed the attack however he needs to, and then somebody would be able to feed Bossy. Hopefully, like, you would think you have Escobar and Aliyu over here, you have Dorsey and Kovalchik that's going to pull defenders either way where Bossy can find a lane to get open for a goal, which almost did happen a couple times even though Bossy wasn't really here. This does bring me over to the actual lineup. In the actual lineup, it was basically what I said. Grey Goose. This has Grey Goose in more of the front instead of back here with Arthur. And then up in the front, it was Bossy on the wing instead of Aliyu, which I won't fault that. Aliyu's Aliyu. He has more time right now playing in that 9 hole this year for Olsen than Bossy does. So that's okay. Aliyu can go up there. Um, but still kind of it still almost happened where Bossy was able to almost find a lane and Aliyu. It looks like this on paper, but in actual practice, Aliyu was playing over here on the wing a lot more, and Bossy was more in the middle. Um, so yeah, it we had a very promising sense of attack, and that's kind of the theme of this game for us was it almost worked. We there was a lot of chances where we almost scored. There was a lot of times where we almost had it. We were right there, and this was really a game of inches. Like Mikhail makes a jump a little bit later, it's a header away. Columbus doesn't score. There were several times where it's like the ball falls a little closer to Bossy or a little closer to Aliyu than it does, and a defender doesn't beat them or a defender doesn't get there first, and we score and win. So it was really a game of inches. It was right there. We, we lost the aggregate 2-1, but overall it doesn't look like we like if you watch the games, we didn't get completely dominated by Columbus, which them being the reigning champs, and we made it to the top four last year, so we were already in good company, and it feels good to kind of be here and be like, well, you look at our results and we don't have the best results on paper, but if you look at how we're playing, we're not in bad company. We're playing very strong teams. We're playing Red Bulls, we're playing Kansas City. We're playing St. Louis. We're playing Columbus. These are our first four teams that we're playing against. These are playoff teams, and we're doing well. We're not getting embarrassed. We're having strong um, showings, and really, it's in my honest opinion, like it's we're right there. We're right where we need to be. We need a couple more pieces to get in there. There are a lot of people on Twitter who are kind of screaming for, oh, Ted and Asher and Ben should have signed a striker in the offseason. We should have, we had all this time to sign a striker. Why haven't we signed a striker? Herrera's gone, so our season's over. So I say that to kind of preface what I'm about to say right now is that we need to polish the small things in our style of play and in the pieces we have right now. And I think if we get that, once we get that striker, we are going to be deadly. We are going to go on a very strong run. Mark this, quote this, do whatever you need to do. It is my honest opinion. Like if we can polish the image that we have right now, you put in a striker, we're done. It's wraps. We're taking 4 or 5 games immediately. We'll probably still obviously lose some, but I think that once we get a good striker in, we don't lose the next 5 games. But um yeah, so and I mean that as a compliment. Like I think that's how well we're playing right now, despite the results not being what they could be. They're not, we're not really looking the best. We we're having very strong showings. We're showing the absolute best out of what we have. Um, and then yeah, and we do have pieces coming back. Ferrer I think is on 3 4 more weeks now. Herrera might be back early May is what we're looking at. So we have another month and a half of no more Ache Ache, but there's a there's a chance he could come back early. I think the last thing we've officially heard is that he won't play any meaningful matches until May. So he could come in, or he won't get any meaningful minutes. So he could come in shutouts or in matches where we don't really have anything to do here. So we'll have Hector play a couple minutes to kind of get his legs warm. Um, but yeah, so we're 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 looking okay. We're not looking the worst, but we're looking okay. Um, we're not looking the best, but we're looking good. I'm happy with where we are. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. Um, in terms of kind of ranking, I guess our players for this last game. Let me jump back over to OBS to transition back to Twitter. Ha ha ha! I figured out transitions. Uh, so Clark, I'm gonna give a solid 7. Like I said, you can't fault him for the goal he let through. There were a couple times where he was called on to make a save, and he did, so can't fault him too much. Mikael, I don't want to fault him. I almost want to give him a pass because of how solid he has been for us defensively and how solid he was for the rest of this game, despite just that one poor header. Um, so, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give him a pass because I mean, it really, if you look at it through the aggregate, that it that header is not the difference between us moving on. I mean, it quite literally is. No, yeah, that header is not the difference between us moving on because Columbus scored one, and if we hadn't let that go through, and we get our penalty kick at the end of the game still, that puts us in extra time right away, and there's no telling what could have happened there. For me, what is the difference between us moving on and us not is the last 20 seconds of the first game. Had we not had that defensive collapse that we did, had somebody been able to get to that ball that just kind of rolled past everybody into the goal, we'd be moving on. I really feel like that was the difference between success and defeat here. So I'll give Mikael the pass here. His while in the scheme of the game, it meant a lot. In the scheme of the aggregate, it didn't really mean that much. And so I'm giving him a pass. I'm still going to give Mikael a solid 7, solid 8 out of for his performance here. Bartlow showed out again. I think it was right to have him in the lineup. Made a lot of defensive plays, made a lot of uh, strong stops to chances and advances. So I'm going to give Bartlow a solid 8 as well. Escobar, Escobar's starting to show a little bit of what we like in Dorsey, where they're kind of playing as attacking backs. So I'll kind of rank him the same way I do rank Dorsey, where it's like, how is he offensively, how is he defensively, and the both of them I feel like kind of get the same kind of ranking. So we'll do the both of them together. They both played all right offensively, but well, okay, I thought Escobar did all right offensively, but did very well defensively, and I thought Dorsey did very well offensively, but did all right defensively. So two sides of the same coin. I'm gonna give them both a 7. Um, Arthur, I thought did very well. He kind of was the midfield kind of maestro that we needed him to be. He was present in a lot of chances and on the same at the same time able to cut off a lot of attacks as they were starting to form. So I'm gonna give Arthur an 8. Grey Goose, I'm also gonna give an 8. Kind of for the same reasons. Really able to make his presence felt. And I know there was a couple times, maybe it was only one, but I'm pretty sure there was a couple times where he took some shots outside of the box. It was just they were blocked immediately by defenders. But I that's kind of something that it really excites me to see is that he can take those shots outside of the box. Um, just because no one else on our team really does it. So you see that and it's like, ooh, exciting. That's different. Um, Coco, I'm gonna give a 9. I mean, super super creative, super super fluid in his passes. They weren't able to lock him down as much this time. It didn't feel like. So I'm gonna give Coco a 9. Also, side note, Coco is wearing dreads. Doesn't add anything, doesn't take anything away. Just that was interesting to see. For a second, I had no idea who was on the field for us because I didn't know anyone on our team had dreads. But yeah, Coco wore the fro down today or Tuesday, so maybe we'll see it again Saturday against Portland. Who knows? Um, Bossy, I'm gonna give a 7 as well. Like I said, he didn't. We're not at that prime Bossy that we're used to seeing. We don't have the Archer back yet. This is just Bossy. We don't have the Archer back, so I'm gonna give Bossy a 7. Kovalchik, I'm also gonna give a 7. I didn't see too much out of him that really had me super super impressed, but I'm not at all disappointed in his performance. And then Aliyu, I'm gonna give a 9 as well. Um, Plenty of heart in his play, plenty of attacking prowess, just could not quite get there to finish. Which I know in a draw and in a loss of an aggregate, these are very very high rankings. But like I said, like I was very impressed with the way we played, despite the result. So that's just me. There are people who are calling for players' heads, but that I'm not on that. There are people who are calling for Ben Olsen's head after this, which we are one, two, three, four, five, six games into the season. 6 games into the season. This is way too early to be calling for Ben Olsen's head. Especially considering the pieces he's missing and the performances he's putting out. But yeah, so and that is what it is in terms of all that. I can go on and on about that, but um, yeah, I was really impressed with the way we played. If not, we just couldn't get the result we needed. Um, Let me jump back to the presentation to kind of wrap this up real quick. Da, 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 da. So yeah, like that's kind of the moral of the story here. We were so close. We need to be able to finish, which brings me to a rumor, not even a rumor, almost a all but confirmed rumor on Twitter is that we are signing. I believe it's pronounced Latif Blessings or Blessing from Toronto FC. Um, he is a Ghanaian midfielder who has rough math off of a quick look. I think I want to say 7 seasons in the MLS. He has a lot of time with LAFC, a little bit of time with New England, and then I think he's in the second season at Toronto. Um, which, granted, we're kind of hoping for a striker, but to have somebody who can finish because he has goals under his belt. I don't have all the stats in front of me, but somebody who can finish, somebody who is able to somebody who's able to buff the front line, and at the very least, someone who can add depth to the front line, and maybe allow for someone like Bossy, someone for like a Leo to get comfortable in that 9 position. Where okay, Siegel's struggling. Let's sub in maybe Blessing. Let's sub in Ali. Let's sub in Bossy. Where we don't have to keep playing these guys on the wings and running them till they're exhausted. Um, and FBRF has a Blessing listed as a forward and midfielder, so we could even see him maybe in that 9 position. Maybe we're bringing him in to be that 9. Um, but we'll talk. I'll talk about more of that. Probably I'm gonna say tomorrow is when I'm gonna record the Portland video, the Portland match discussion, pre-match discussion. Um, I think I'm gonna try and get it posted Friday or have it air Friday, but I don't know how to work any of that, so it might just come out tomorrow anyway. But I'm gonna do a dive into him in case anything gets announced or confirmed before Saturday, but after Thursday, if that makes sense. Just because I want to keep you all up to date and informed. And the only reason I'm saying this because usually I like to say, rumors are rumors until something is confirmed, until the club announces something, because otherwise we're just all blowing smoke up our own butts. But this is being confirmed. This is being talked about and um, well, what's the word? Talked about and released by a lot of reliable sources, and they're not relying. They're not saying that Dynamo are in talks to have them, or it's looking like Dynamo is discussing to get Blessing. This is actual like Dynamo are close to finalizing a deal, so we could see him as early as Saturday. It's possible, but yeah, like I said, we'll do a dive. I'll kind of go through his FBRF profile, give my thoughts on him as a whole, as an addition to our team as a whole. If because I do have some thoughts about him, some little not withdrawals, hesitations, and maybe he's definitely not the answer to our prayers, but he might still be a strong piece. Um, so yeah, that's really all I have for this video. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Please be sure to follow me on Twitter and X to kind of get my pregame thoughts as I post them, get my feedback. If Blessing is confirmed between now and Saturday, there's a very good chance I'll give all my thoughts on Twitter before I even get a chance to post it on YouTube. So follow me over there at Discuss Dynamo. And yeah, so thank you for watching the Copium episode, and I'll be sure to see you on the next one. Thank you. I said thank you too fast. I forgot I had to come back over, and it wasn't as easy as last time. Anyway, so thank you. Bye.